So in the wellness industry, we've really been taught to calculate and count and control every aspect of our body and our nutrition, especially. It's very normalized to micromanage food. Normalized doesn't mean normal, it just means it's been normalized. When I use the word normal, it can excite people. People get a little mad at me when I use the word normal. When I say it's not normal to count and weigh your food, people get really bothered by that. It's like, well, what are we supposed to do? Get fat instead? I'm like, that's not how it works. I'm just saying it's normalized. It's not normal. Now, there's a concept that has kind of endured in the wellness and weight loss world, and you may or may not have heard of it. It's called the basal metabolic rate. So it sounds fancy. It's got the word metabolism in it. So we're thinking, this is something I should probably care about. My metabolism is all wrecked, so I should probably understand my basal metabolic rate. But what does this mean? Well, the basal metabolic rate, real quick, is essentially the amount of calories that your body needs to maintain its basic function. So things like breathing, circulating blood, regulating temperature, moving around. Your body has to run daily, irrespective of your weight loss goals, irrespective of the workout you have on the agenda. Your body still has stuff to do. And so the basal metabolic rate is the base level number of calories, big time air quotes on the word calories, that your body needs to run. Okay, so maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't. The reason why I'm talking about it is because I am hearing about it from you. I'm hearing about it from people on the phone who say, well, I went to the gym and the personal trainer there calculated my basal metabolic rate and told me it was 1,417.8 calories per day. So now you have that number in your head. That's your number. It's some kind of like a scarlet letter, but it's a number. That's your number, 1,417.8. But remember, this is your basal metabolic. This is the minimum amount required to run your body. That's all it is. Okay, so just wanted to establish that as a definition. Now, it sounds logical. If you burn 1,700 calories a day, but you only need 1,417.8, then that deficit should lead to a fat loss. But this formula is flawed from the very beginning, not just in the details, but at its very core. Because the truth is, our bodies aren't simple math equations. They're dynamic, intelligent, and adaptive systems. So this ends up being a very dire oversimplification of how your body really works, of how fuel works. Because the reason I use calories in air quotes is because a calorie is not a unit of fuel that the body works on. The body has 3 fuels: carbohydrate, fat, and ketones. Your body doesn't run on calories anyway. So I don't like calories. I think it's just an oversimplification of how the body uses fuel, but then we've become very sort of tuned to that narrative, and it's not helping us. Okay, so again, the concept of the basal metabolic rate, or BMR, refers to the number of calories your body needs to maintain its basic physiological functions. So this is the amount of energy your body burns at rest. The word basal basically means base level. The lowest possible amount of calories you could need in your day is your basal metabolic rate. And then again, because we're in this calorie deficit narrative, it's like, well, then I should eat less than that because then I'll lose weight. But this is one of the most important myths we need to debunk. And here's why. Your BMR represents the minimum energy your body needs to survive. The minimum. So do you think eating below your minimum fuel requirement is a good idea in the long run? What do you think would happen? You already know. Constantly aiming to eat below your base level, your basal minimum amount of calories, means you're essentially under-eating. If you're eating less than your basal metabolic rate, you're under-eating. Chronically under-eating tells your body that the fuel supply is scarce. And this leads to sort of a metabolic downregulation. There can be nutrient insufficiencies, and not to mention a cascade of hormone disruptions. When I talk about hormones, I mainly talk about the metabolic hormones, which are trying to perceive the fuel environment. And if you're like, I'm going to aim for less than my basal metabolic rate, which some personal trainer just plucked out of thin air, I'm going to try to eat less than that so I can lose weight. You are now under eating. You are not sufficiently nourishing your body at the base level. That's not the path forward for robust health. My issue with this, with the work I do with women, is, first of all, it gets us too preoccupied with a number, which I'm going to continue to unpack here as we go. Secondly, the number is utterly arbitrary, made up number, completely invented, fabricated. a fabricated number that somebody just told you is your number, your scarlet letter, your scarlet number. And never mind the metabolic downregulation that happens. So if you're eating less and less and less and less, you can't go any lower. Like you bottom out, right? So this is what happens to women in midlife. We bottom out. We're like, I don't know where to go from here. Well, the only way to go is up, my friends. I'm sorry to say, you've hit the bottom, you got to start eating more. But here's why this is important to me and hopefully to you, is because of the signal it sends to the body. The signal of inadequate nourishment in the environment. We're under eating, we're undernourished. That signal consistently sent to your body is a metabolic conundrum. Your body's like, there's no food. We're in hoarding mode. Now, the reason I really hang on this is because metabolism, the system of the body that I'm obsessed with talking about and learning about, is responsive to signal. It's a sensitive body system that responds to signal, not math. Basal metabolic rate is some arbitrary math equation that you've decided to believe and subscribe to. And your body's not a stupid calculator. It's a dynamic system. Not only that, but the BMR, as I've said a few times, basal metabolic rate is arbitrary and just created recently. So these formulas, they give you a formula. You can find one online. You could Google this and maybe you will. It's an online calculator. It's going to tell you how much you need to eat. How does the calculator know? How does the online calculator know how much you're supposed to eat? But this formula that the calculator uses is based on generic formulas that don't account for the complexity of individual biology. So factors like your muscle mass, hormonal fluctuations, sleep quality, stress levels, even the time of day, freaking weather, seasons, many things affect what your energy needs are from day to day, from season to season. So the generic calculator doesn't factor that in. And here's my big beef. This is my big beef. The calculators are based on assumptions that your body's energy expenditure is exactly the same every day. So 1417.8 every day. That doesn't even make sense. That's absolutely illogical. The human body is constantly in flux. So on one day you might need 1417.8 calories, but on another day you might need 2017.8 calories. You don't know. The idea that there's a single correct number to follow is absolutely misleading and literally untrue. But then we anchor to that number and we worry about that number. We don't contemplate that the body needs more, needs less, needs more, needs less. We're like, this is my number. It's such a rigid and problematic purview. The reason why this comes up in today's conversation is because I had conversations with women last week who said, well, my basal metabolic rate is 1417.8. I'm like, no, it isn't. Just please, can we lobotomize that? Can we eternal sunshine that out of your brain? Because now you know that number and you think anything above that is going to make you fat. And that isn't how this works. Your basal metabolic rate fluctuates on day to day because your nutrient needs fluctuate day to day. Everything fluctuates from day to day. Your mood, your energy, your appetite. Think about this, how appetite plays in. Appetite's what I really like to think about here. Because your appetite is the literal signal from your body that's asking you to fulfill the nutrient needs. So you might have more hunger someday, more appetite, more nutrient needs someday. Some days you might not feel very hungry. So there are days where I will eat 900 calories. I don't know. I don't track calories, but because I have such a history of calorie tracking, I kind of have every calorie count memorized. I might eat one meal, maybe it's 1,000 calories or just shy of it, and not be hungry for the rest of the day because maybe I wasn't very active, or maybe I'm just fully nourished. Maybe I just did a really good job the last 3 days of eating and now my body's like, we're kind of good. Like we don't really need that much nourishment. So you have low hungry days, and then after a period of low hungry days, you might have a high hunger day, low hunger, high hunger. This is all good. This is amazing. This is natural fluctuation of appetite as a response to your body's nutrient needs. So why would we anchor to some static number? The idea that you have daily nutrient needs, this gets a little into the weeds a bit, but I don't even believe that we have daily nutrient needs. I actually think it's an infinite scale. The time scale is infinite. You have nutrient needs. You have nutrient needs at all times. In this moment, your nutrient needs might be great. You might have hunger. So nutrient needs, hunger. Or you might not be hungry. Low nutrient needs, not much right now. But the time horizon of nutrient needs is infinite. It's not a daily thing. It's not 24 hours and the clock resets to 0 at midnight. Now I need 1,400 calories again because it's midnight. This is actually a wellness industry construct that was put into place to help us because we were, I guess, losing ground on our health. We weren't losing ground on our health because we weren't counting calories. That's not why we were. It's because the introduction of processed foods and the modern human lifestyle and all this stuff sounds a little conspiratorial when I say it, but it wasn't the lack of counting calories that made us get fat, because we went for a long time without counting calories and we were doing fine. So why did the wellness industry create this construct? Why did it start telling us that we needed to have a daily calorie intake? Well, in an effort to solve the problem of, the kind of obesity epidemic, the growing overweight trends, the wellness industry came up with this sort of convenient methodology. And convenience and simplicity, oversimplification, is the wellness industry's best friend, because actually your body is very complex, and to try to understand it, it's way too much to understand. So let's just dumb it all the way down. Let's dumb it all the way. Let's create a unit of food energy, the calorie, and then just get people to pay attention to those. They don't have to know that their body doesn't actually run on calories. They don't have to know that the calorie is not actually a fuel substrate. Just we'll get them counting their calories, and we'll spin some wrenches and, some laboratories to figure out what number they should be reaching for. And, that should be good. It was just convenient. Actually, BMI, body mass index, we hate it. It's like everybody, basically me, you, we're probably close to obese on the BMI scale. Why are we still using it if it's so flawed? Well, because it's easy. It's just kind of an easy way. And doctors have said this, and the researchers that still kind of push the BMI have said, well, we just need a simple tool to use in office to get at a glance where somebody is on the body, in terms of their fatness or whatever, their health. So we're going to keep using it. We acknowledge that it's flawed, but it's easy. So just understand that some of these things that we anchor to have been oversimplified for that reason, so that they're just more user-friendly, but that doesn't mean that they're accurate or helpful. Just because it's convenient doesn't make it true. And the reality of our bodies is much more nuanced. So the idea that your body needs a specific number of calories every day, or grams of protein, or carbs that you have to aim for, is about as scientific as saying you need to drink half of your body weight in ounces of water. It's invented math. Or even you need 8 hours of sleep every night. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you need 9, maybe you need 10, maybe you need 6. Don't know. These are guidelines, but they don't really account for real life. And much of what we believe and much of the stuff that we follow and subscribe to about food and weight loss and metabolism, it comes from a multi-dozens of trillions of dollars wellness industry that's ostensibly trying to help us, but they're also trying to sell stuff, right? It gets very murky. So I always want to invite these conversations to help us come back home to our bodies. Okay, so you come back home to your body, there's no calculator. There's no BMR calculator in here. Your body is telling you what it needs based on tightly controlled signals from the brain. Your brain plays the most critical role in regulating your body's energy needs. It's constantly sort of surveilling the body to see what it needs more of. It's monitoring the environment. It's communicating to you through very honestly clear body signals what you need to do next. So, for example, you feel thirsty? Where do you feel thirsty? In your mouth. You feel thirsty in your mouth. Your brain is like, hey, a little bit of we need some hydration going through here. So it cues up a dry mouth, because then you wet your mouth. Now, wetting your mouth is not the objective of the thirst signal. We don't get thirsty so we can have a wet mouth. We get thirsty so we can drink fluids that go into our bodies and hydrate our tissues. But the brain cues up your thirst signal in a dry mouth. Where do you feel tiredness? How do you know when it's time to go to bed? Your eyes start closing. You can't keep your eyes open. Your body is trying to send you a signal hey, go close your eyes. Now, we don't go to bed just to close our eyes. Closing our eyes is not the purpose of sleep. But closing your eyes, getting heavy eyelids, is the signal your brain has triggered to tell you to go lie down and sleep so you can repair your body. Where do we feel hunger? We feel hunger in our stomach. But we don't eat just to fill our stomach. We eat to nourish our body. Nourish. Okay, nourish. I use the word nourish and not fuel, because nourish is a bigger word. Fuel is a part of nourishment, but there's other things involved in nourishing your body. Fuel, minerals, hydration. There's a lot of things that come in to nourish the body, and fuel is part of it. Now, if you have a weight loss goal, you have a lot of fuel on your body that you'd like to burn. So really, fuel is not that big of a concern, but you still need to nourish your body. You still need all your amino acids, and you need your minerals so the body can function. and build and grow and be strong and robust and epic and constantly rebuild itself and constantly be in repair mode, we need nourishment. So hunger is queued up in your stomach, not because you need to fill your stomach, but because you figured out that when my stomach rumbles, I need to put food down into my stomach so that that nourishment can then go out to the tissues and systems of the body. So the brain is queuing up clear signals to us based on what it's perceiving inside the body and outside the body. So for that reason, instead of trusting an external tool like an online calculator to tell you how much to eat, what if you just trusted your body? I know when I say the phrase trust your body, it sends up major red flags. You're like, I can't trust this thing, which is brutal. Absolutely brutal. It makes me so sad. You know, your ancestors trusted their body. They didn't spend their time spinning their wheels on wondering what their basal metabolic rate is. And we were doing a lot better then. I always anchor back to that because it's like, obviously, this isn't working. We've actually been conditioned to ignore our body signals by zeroing in on dumb calculators instead. So now we have no belief in this system. We're like, no, mine's broken. Yours might work, but mine's broken. No, it's perfect. It's perfect technology. You just don't know how to pick up its signals. We're always eating based on the clock, based on some portion size, like palm-sized serving of protein, fist-sized serving. I don't even know, like these palm-sized servings. Ridiculous. Or calculators, or some meal plan that our personal trainer gave us. These rules set by, honestly, diet programming that has nothing to do with our biology at all. So it takes time to learn how to listen and trust and respect and respond to your body's signals. And the ones I zero in on with my clients is hunger and satiety. Hunger, satiety, the handshake of metabolism, the handshake of your body's nutrient needs. Your body says, please, and you say, here you go. And it's a beautiful relationship. So let's go back to the BMR. My number is 1417.8. If we're overriding or ignoring our hunger signals because we're trying to anchor to this number, and then, we do that for such a period of time, and then the wheels fall off and we overdo it, we binge or we freak out and we overconsume because you're only going to out-willpower your biology for so long. You're just silencing the system that's designed to keep you healthy. You're silencing the system that's designed to keep you at a healthy body weight. You're silencing the system that's designed to keep your energy and your vibrancy exactly where you want it to be. You're overriding it. It's like a kill switch for your body's natural signals. It's like a kill switch for the effortless health that's your birthright. So I just want to encourage you to trust your body's signals and give it what it needs when it asks. So there's a really fascinating biological truth that I just want you to understand, and that is that all animals eat to protein satiety. This is one of the most powerful concepts to grasp. If you want to manage your weight, your health, fully nourish yourself, adequately answer your hunger signal without being brainwashed by dumb math. Okay, so there's this little book. I love this book. I rave about this book all the time. It's called Eat Like the Animals. And these researchers, they're biologists, they did a long series of experiments and learned that all living creatures, no matter what, whether they're herbivores or meat eaters, will eat until their protein needs are met. So for animals like horses, okay, I've got horses, right? Horses have to eat all day long. They have to graze something like 16 or more hours a day. Their whole biology is wired for that because they're eating grass. And there's not a lot of protein in grass. There's some, but not very much. And they have to eat until their protein needs are met. Now, horses are very strong. They're packed full of muscle. So they're definitely getting their protein needs met, but they have to graze. That's how horses would exist in the wild. Yes, there are horses that live in barns and don't graze. That's a little bit of outside of the horse's natural biology. So I'm not going to talk about it. Now, when I say the horse's whole biology is wired to this, I'm not going to get into horse biology with you, but literally everything from the production of their saliva to their digestive enzymes require them to have their head down, literally that head position, head down. That produces the saliva that has the enzyme that can break down the sugars and starches in the grass. So they have to have their head down grazing. By the way, this is just a fun fact about horses. If you were to feed a horse in a manger, like if you had a manger and the horse's head was up eating grass, it actually produces less saliva and the whole digestive process can kind of shut down. So a horse has to have its head down, eating, chewing, swallowing 16 plus hours a day for its whole digestive process to be able to handle all the starch and plant fiber and extract the protein and put the protein into the big muscles of the horses. The whole entirety of the horse's biology is designed to graze. Now, we're humans. We are omnivores, sort of carnivore-leaning omnivores. We're more meat-eating than plant-eating omnivores. In fact, I think most animals that are omnivores are probably more meat-eating. They can eat plants. We can eat plants, but really we are meat eaters. So we don't graze. We feast. We are feasting animals. A feast is going all the way to a satiety point where you can't eat another bite and then not eating for a long time. So fasting, ostensibly. So feasting, fasting, feasting, fasting. Horses are grazers. Humans are feasters. What does this mean? If you want to satisfy hunger, reduce cravings, avoid overeating, then the key is to meet your protein needs. She said protein. Oh my God. The most brutally overplayed narrative in the wellness world. Yeah. Listen, I don't care how much protein you eat. I don't need you counting it. But you definitely want to consume enough until you trigger your own natural satiety signal. That's the whole point of hunger. When a human omnivore feels hunger, the point is to go to satiety, not a little bit, not to just take the edge off hunger with a little snack, but to go to satiety. And protein will help you do that. So I just want you to eat a little bit more protein. I don't care how much. You don't have to count it. It's just like you don't have to count your basal metabolic rate and your calories. You don't also have to count your protein. You can trust that your body knows how much protein it needs. It's going to queue up hunger when it needs amino acids, and it's going to queue up satiety when you've done it. Okay, so practical takeaways. I want to kind of summarize and then give you them practical takeaways. So in summary, there is no set number of calories that you need to consume every day. That is fake news. Your body doesn't actually even use calories as a fuel substrate. If you find an online calculator that tells you how many calories to eat and you decide to eat less than that to lose weight, you're now under eating. That was your baseline level of theoretical calories your body needs to run. But that number fluctuates. You need more and less and more and less from day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour, week to month to year to season, whatever. The time horizon on your fuel needs is infinite. There's no daily clock that resets to zero. And this is all tightly regulated by your brain, which asks you to eat by queuing up a hunger signal. And then all you have to do is consume adequate, nourishing food with protein to effectively queue up the satiety signal, which is basically your body's way of saying, congratulations, you just nourished. We're good for a while. Then you have the period of time where you're, fasting in between the feasts, and your body's packaging all this away. When hunger shows up again, that's the body's way of saying, hey, we just need a bit more nourishment, and you'll eat to satiety. And you might have a big meal or you might have a small meal. It doesn't matter. Your body's going to tell you what it needs, and it's time to start practicing trusting. Crazy, right? Trusting? Whoa. Can you imagine? To be honest with you, this is what I work on with my clients the most. Trust. It's so far gone. We're so far gone from trusting our bodies right now. It's astonishing. We don't believe that our body knows what the hell it needs. So we have to micromanage it from calories to macros to ounces of water to number of steps. It's so crazy. Don't you think? Anyone? Okay. Practical takeaways. Here we go. Number 1, stop counting calories. Just stop doing it. Stop even thinking about it. Stop acknowledging them. Do not calculate your basal metabolic rate. It's not going to help you. It doesn't really tell you anything useful or accurate about your body's nourishment needs. Instead, focus on feeling. Your brain is tightly regulating your nutrient needs and queuing up the signals to eat, to rest, to drink. So, are you hungry? Eat. Hopefully, you're eating like an adult and not like an unsupervised 8-year-old in a candy store. And you're eating things like meat, poultry, eggs, fish, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, dairy, food, right? Hopefully you're eating that kind of thing. And if you do that, then you're having some protein in your diet. And when you have adequately met your protein needs, your body will queue up the satiety signal, which it does in every single living creature on planet Earth. You, as a meat-eating animal, you need to eat meat to get your protein needs met. You're not a horse. You don't graze for 16 hours on plant foods to get your protein needs met. That's not how your biology is wired. You don't have horse biology. You have human biology, and you're a meat eater. So consume protein at your meals. I don't care how much. Just eat until your brain tells you to put the fork down. And you're good. You did it. Didn't have to count any of it. So number 2 is to prioritize protein. Just have some at every meal. I have a certain parameter that I set with my clients as a little bit of a structure I like to use, but it's very loose. But, at the very least, you already heard the narrative around protein. I think it's gotten really crazy. I think it's gotten overwhelming, like as if we needed to overwhelm health consumers with more numbers. Now you're hearing these insane numbers that we have to hit for protein every day. I'm very heavy. I'm a very tall, muscular woman. I'm pretty heavy. I don't even know how much I weigh because I haven't weighed myself in well over 15 years. But I can tell that I'm heavy, right? So if I were to eat 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein, I would be making myself sick. I'm now overriding my body's satiety signal, overfeeding it protein. Now, nothing's going to go wrong if you overeat protein, apart from you're going to get real sick of it, and you're probably going to burn out on it, and you're probably going to rebound into a plate of nachos. So just have a sensible amount of protein and just start to feel that satiety signal. Okay, feel hunger, feel satiety. It's a beautiful thing. My third tip is to eat when you're hungry and go all the way to fullness. When you feel hunger, that's your body's way of saying, I need a certain amount of nourishment. You don't know how much it needs. You have no idea. You don't have to know how much. You'll never know. You'll only know when your body says, satiety, you did it. So let's say your body cues up hunger and you just have a little snack, carrots and hummus. Okay. Not a lot of protein in carrots and hummus. Okay. So anyway, it doesn't matter. So you have little carrots and hummus. It fills up your stomach a little bit and knocks the edge off the hunger. You're no longer obviously hungry. You're in some no man's land between hunger and satiety. You're not satiated. Carrots and hummus has not satiated you. It just took the edge off hunger. Now, an hour later, you're a little hungry again. You're going to have whatever your collagen coffee. You're going to just limp it along with these little dumb snacky poos. When you feel hungry, your body's asking for an unknown amount of nourishment. You don't know. So just go make a meal of food and eat until you're completely satiated. Make a meal of human food, not unsupervised 8-year-old in a candy store food. Make a meal of human food, adult food, eat until you're satiated. Then you'll know, I gave my body how much it needed. Do you have to count that? Do you have to write it down in a book somewhere or track it in an online app? No, you did it. You did the thing. You did the thing that your body, your brain was asking you to do. You did it. Eat when you're hungry and go all the way to fullness. That's a feast. Then you're going to go a long time without getting hungry again. That's a beautiful thing. If you limp along hunger, you're going to be hungry constantly because you've never actually adequately answered it. If you answer it, you're going to live for hours, living your life, doing other things besides obsessing about food. It's beautiful. And you know what? This is the behavior that's going to get you to start trusting your body again, maybe for the first time. So number 4 is to embrace the feasting fasting cycle. When I say feasting and fasting, I'm not talking about intermittent fasting. I don't care about your intermittent fast. I don't care about your feeding window, your fasting window. I'm using these terms in their sort of dictionary definition states. It's a feast, and then it's a period of not eating because you feasted and your body's putting all that nourishment to work. We're not grazers. We're not meant to nibble. Embrace your natural cycle of feasting and fasting. So eat large meals that satiate your hunger, that meet all your nutrient needs, and allow your body the time to digest and rest and put all that stuff to work between meals. This is the rhythm of human metabolism. And if you want to have a better metabolism, then I strenuously encourage you to embrace these cycles. My 5th takeaway is try to forget. This is going to be hard. Because already it sounds hard. Try to forget. How do you forget? I don't know how to make you forget. But I want you to just reconsider. There's the word. Reconsider this 24-hour cycle. It doesn't work that way. Your body does not reset to some zero at midnight, where now you have 1,417.8 calories again available to you. No, your nutrient needs are on an infinite time horizon, constantly, dynamically in flux, very in the moment. Your brain is aware of what your nutrient needs are in the present moment, and it's whatever you're feeling in the moment. Like right now, I don't feel hungry. What does that tell you? I don't have any nutrient needs right now. I'm good. When I feel hungry, what will that tell me? Well, time to go get some food and fulfill my nutrient needs. It couldn't be easier. It couldn't be easier. When I talk about the effortless relationship with food, it's about sliding into this trust and belief in your body, and it requires you to lobotomize the part of your brain that was taught to believe there's some fixed, rigid, 24-hour schedule to hunger and appetite and nutrient needs. There's not. So we go all the way back up to BMR, basal metabolic rate, 1,417.8 calories per day is already false because there is no per day. So we don't have to know how many calories we eat per day because it's not even a per day thing. In closing, please remember your body is not a calculator. It's a living, breathing organism, a complex system that operates on signals and feedback, signal and feedback and trust. So when you learn to work with your body instead of against it, everything changes. Cravings diminish, energy gets better, fat loss becomes easier. And it all starts with one simple shift, and that's to stop trusting the numbers and start trusting your body. Make it sound easy. Trust your body. I know it's hard. I really know it's hard. Please trust that I know that it's hard because I work on that with people every single day. And it takes ages. My mentorship is 6 months long because it takes women at least that long to figure out how to trust their bodies. And that's such a shame, isn't it? I trust your body. I trust your body implicitly. So you can borrow my trust until you get yours back, okay?